guys, so I know yet last week we talked about angles on a triangle, but now we're going to talk about the sides. Every time we have a right triangle, what I mean with right triangle is a triangle, and one of my angles is 90 degrees, which is represented by the box. So every time we have a right triangle, we can use the Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. From the three sides, c is the biggest of the three. So in this case, looking at the length, this side is c. Bless. The other two sides are a and b. It does not matter which one is a, which one is b. All that matters is that c is the biggest one of the three. So the way I'm going to write this, I'm going to go 5 squared plus 3 squared is equal to c squared. I know 5 squared is 25. 3 squared, I know it's 9. Remember, it means I'm multiplying 3 2 times, so that's why I got 3 times 3 is 9. 25 plus 9, because those two things are together. 25 plus 9 is 34. So I'm going to say c is the square root of 34. All right, c squared was 34, so c will be the square root of 34. And then if you can simplify your square root, simplify it. Like last week we talked about simplification, break this into two numbers, in this case 2 and 17. Break it as much as you can. If you get any groups, the groups go out, singles stay in. In this case, we don't get any groups, so this is already simple. C is the square root of 34. Right? If you get groups, simplify it. If you don't, then you don't. Let me take a look at one where we do get groups. Let me take a look at number 3. I'm going to call this side C, and I'm going to go 14 squared plus 14 squared is equal to c squared. So again, the biggest side is c, so that's why I call it c. I know 14 squared is 196 plus 196 is equal to c squared. 196 plus 196, we can do that. That is 392. So c is the square root of 392. Then I'm going to simplify this. It's an even numbered. I can go 2 times 196. But then 196, I can break that as 14 times 14. I know my 14s, I can break it up as 2 times 7, 2 times 7. But then I'm going to have a group of 2 and a group of 7. And when I multiply it, it gives me 14. Right? If I already have a group them up. If we split them, like I said, it's going to give me a group of 2 and a group of 7. When multiplied, it's 14. So I'm going to say C, in this case, is 14 radical 2. And there's the group of 14, and then there's the single 2. Groups go out, singles stay in. And we talked about this last week. So once again, simplify your radicals if you can. Any questions for the first 10? Yandre, wake up. Thank you. All right, let's take a look at number 11. For number 11, we will need the use of a calculator. Make sure you do have one. Let me set this up. Right, here I'm giving you guys the value of A, B, and C. So let me set this one up as 11.1 squared plus 13.5 squared. This is equal to C squared. Right, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. 11.1 squared, right, I'm going to have the use of a calculator. 11.1 times 11.1 gives me 123.21. 13.5 squared, and I'm just going to go 13.5 times 13.5 gives me 182.22. 25. These two numbers are together. There's a plus sign in between them. So let me add them. 123.21 plus 182.25 gives me 305.46. So C squared is 305.46. That means that C is the square root of 305.46. Use a calculator to figure out what that is. Round it to 2 decimal places. All right, when I look at the first 3 decimal places, I get 14.477. There's more. So because the third number is big enough, right, it's 5 or more, I'm going to say that C is equal to 14.48. Once again, the third number was big enough, 5 or more, so I call it 14.48. If the third number was small, I would have called it 14.47. Like I said, round it to 2 decimal places. So if you notice I did a squared plus b squared equals c squared, do use a calculator for these. Let me take a look at question number 17. Just because I'm not asking for C this case, I'm asking for A. So let me go a squared plus 9.3 squared is equal to 13.5 squared. So I get that a squared plus, let me figure out what 9.3 squared is. 9.3 times 9.3, that gives me 86.49. Let me figure out what 13.5 squared is. 13.5 times 13.5 gives me 182.25. Now, since my numbers have an equal sign in between them, what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this 86.49 to this side, but don't forget to switch the sign. Right? Every time we move something from one side to the other side of the equal sign, we switch the sign. So don't forget to call that minus. So I'm going to say that a squared is 182.25 minus 86.49. I get 95.76. That means that A is the square root of 95.76. I type that in a calculator. Round out your answer. So I get, if I look at the first 3 decimal places, I get 9.785. So because the third number is big enough, right, 5 or more, I'm going to say that A is 9.79. Once again, I look at the third number, it's big enough, 5 or more, so then I bring this to 79. If I'm running it to 2 decimal places, the way you guys can think of this is 978, but because of this is big enough, add an extra penny, so now it's 979. All right, any questions? I wonder if you guys have no questions, or you guys just don't want to ask a question. Any questions?